Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills Tournament 2018. We've got a great lineup for you all tonight. We're soon going to see Terra take on Brynhold, should be a close match, as well as Snoop take on Iced later. But first, we have Roryrai versus qqstafoo. My name is Jay Hobbs, and I am joined on commentary today by Spark. Spark, how are you doing, dude?
Hello, Hobbs. I'm doing great. And I'm expecting this race to also be a great one. We have the number 12 seed against the number 21 seed here. And both of these runners are fairly skilled at this game, I'd say. They are, after all, they managed to get into the upper bracket, so that's gonna mean something.
It sure does. And this is a pretty interesting one because ordinarily this match might not mean that much for the standings, because either runner would have been expecting to face Wilson if they won. And then, if we were to go by seeds, would have probably expected to fall down in the loser's bracket. However, due to that upset that we saw just yesterday, the winner will be going and facing Oshi, which Oshi is obviously proven to be a strong contender, but it's certainly a little less scary to face the not world record holder versus facing the world record holder. So it'll be really interesting to see, who manages to take this one out and how far they go in the winner's bracket.
It will, and it certainly makes losing this race a lot more terrifying, because the lower bracket with Wilson lurking down there, that's probably not a good time. But anyway, I'll introduce Rory here. He's playing on keyboard and mouse, just as Stafoo. And yeah, he PB'd 3 times the day before the tournament signups. We all saw that it was pretty amazing, and he's down to a PB of 32-43 by now. However, he hasn't been doing too many races since his last race, so he's not been too happy with how he was performing during practice today, and he's a little nervous about some tricks, but I think he'll be fine here. He has been putting on a great show so far in this tournament.
Yep, and he'll be facing up against qqstafoo, who also said that he hasn't really done a lot of practice since his last tournament race, so should be a very interesting one. A little over a minute, apart from these runners for their PBs. That, of course, does not tell the tale of tournament races, so we'll keep a close eye on this one for sure. I'm hoping for some tight lead changes, some interesting maybe strat variation between the two, but we'll have to see, as we are currently off and going to be heading over to pick up our first skill right away.
Yeah, we're off to Sunken Glades. I actually got the soft block there first time today, so I'm pretty scared of the start now.
Yeah, certainly not one that you ever want to get right at the beginning of the run. All right, both runners dropping down, running and jumping, and a little bit of a color variation from Rory. Stafoo going with the tried and true white.
Yeah, the color code is something to make the glades be a little, probably more exciting. I don't know, it's always, you can guess what color am I going to get. Makes it maybe a little bit more exciting. I don't know, it's not too exciting until you get shinier.
Well, do something to entertain yourself, during the first minute, and also kind of maybe give you something to focus on other than the nerves of the match. I'm sure both runners are going in with some nerves into this one. From the little that we talked to them before this match, they certainly both seem to not be incredibly confident going into it. So we'll have to see if, any kind of small unusual flubs happen due to those nerves.
Yeah, what we're already seeing here is in the Frankie fight that while both of these players are playing on keyboard and mouse, Rory actually doesn't do the infamous scroll wheel shooting, so his shot pacing is going to be a little bit slower than the one of Stafoo. That's also the reason why he fell behind there a little.
Yeah, he also dove right into the first bramble and took damage. It didn't look like he was really trying to skip it, so I'd assume that's something he does intentionally in most of his runs. But as long as he keeps a good idea of what his health is, then he should be perfectly fine. Of course, both runners wanting to drop down to 1 health, but not until right before the ghost door.
Yeah, the setups look good so far. Stafoo got the health drop, which doesn't throw him here, so he should be fine. Rory as well, both of them seem to be getting a nice 1 health ghost door here.
Yep, oh, Rory taking 2 hops at that keystone, but nothing too major. Of course, the only real kind of big issues you tend to see in this early portion are possibly deaths, which hopefully will not happen to either of our racers today.
Yeah, we cannot take too much safety saves here in Glades because our energy is not that high at this point of the time. So it's a good idea to take this up to keep yourself alive a little bit better. But so far, the Glades has been doing pretty good for both of them.
Yeah, both opting for the 4th health as expected. Again, only a few runners are not choosing to get that. Looks like qqstafoo has maybe like improved that that lead by just a little bit here. Rory having a couple problems, you know, dropping through platforms, I think. A few minor things like that.
Yeah, not too big of a deal though. Both of them are wanting to level up on the way back out of Glades here. We've seen some runners level up on the way down. I think it's preferable to level up on the way up, just to set up your experience a little bit better, but it's certainly not necessary.
Yeah, it's really up to, you know, player preference for the most part. Occasionally, if you, you know, go for a cycle manipulation reload in Blackroot Burrows, sometimes that may affect your decision of whether you like to level up on the way down or out, but certainly up to the player, and both these players opting for the way out. Didn't quite get a good look at their skill or at their experience wheels, so hopefully both will level up off this flower. qqstafoo first up is indeed going to do so, and Rory right behind does the same.
Yeah, now it's up to Trojan Log, which qqstafoo manages to get, and Rory also. That log, it can throw you, but that jump is not too hard actually. So
yeah, it's not too bad. And no souls claimed today, so great job from both runners. Now, yeah, hopefully... sorry, go ahead, Spark.
Oh, I was just saying, I think that the souls that haven't been claimed a lot lately. Trojan Log has been pretty nice to almost everyone I've seen the last few times.
Yeah, runners have been certainly improving at that. We'll see if either of these runners decide to make a safety save on the way to BRB. Rory made one, qqstafoo has not, so he is at potential danger of going all the way back to wall jump if he were to make a mistake and hug the brambles too closely, but looks like he's perfectly fine. Now there's nothing that'll kill him before that save anywhere save.
Yeah, and qqstafoo just picked up the experience there on the way to back burst, so he's going to do the genocide route, and with 15 XP his setup went pretty well. That's the experience range that he wants to be at here. So we'll be seeing a little bit of a different approach of how we manage our to set up our level up for the pro keep coming up.
Yeah, and while this is, you know, runner preference, no matter kind of what input you're doing, it is most likely that Rory has not, you know, gone this route yet because he does not use the scroll wheel shooting. That's more or less seen as mandatory for the genocide route. It's not technically, but it certainly helps you minimize any kind of time loss from it and really gain the most time that you can. Because as you see here, qqstafoo does not have to go up and grab the experience container that Rory does. He's able to just move on because he's been killing the slimes along the way. Now, he didn't get the experience from the slime before these lanterns, but that may have been intentional.
Yeah, if you had too much experience, you really wouldn't want to get this experience. I don't know if qqstafoo is good on the cycle here. He might be.
It looks like he had to wait on all three. Rory able to get past the first and the third, so saving a bit time there. But qqstafoo, yeah, he had to wait on the platform cycle entirely, and Rory did not. So that time loss from not doing genocide route already caught up by Rory, and qqstafoo's probably gonna have to kill another slime on the way out as well.
Yeah, he is. And since they both managed to get the same cycle here, it's a pretty close race.
It is. The nerves don't really seem to be hitting these two yet, or at least not manifesting in a way that has caused significant time loss. It's really easy to miss, you know, small BRB cycles and stuff like that, even if you're not nervous. Oh, but as I say that, qqstafoo, unfortunately, going with a little bit too aggressive of a manipulation and not able to catch that platform cycle.
Yeah, when doing genocide, you have to wait a little bit longer since you have to take a little detour to pick up the XP from a slime outside of dash room. And so, yeah, he didn't get the cycle. It's always, I mean, it's only 8 seconds. It's not going to cost him the race just yet. There's still a lot of Ori to go, but certainly not something he had hoped for.
Yeah, no, it's not an ideal situation by any means, of course. We'll see if either runner goes for the blind movement. I think Rory waited the full time. I couldn't quite tell. Yes, Rory waited, and it looks like qqstafoo's waiting as well. So neither runner is going to go for that newer blind movement on the way out of Blackroot Burrows. both instead just opting for the normal skip most of the cutscene and wait on the tree.
Certainly a reasonable decision, I'd say, because that cutscene state can have a potential to ruin your whole save file, and then you'd have to start all over again. That's probably not worth the 2-second time save in the race situation. But yes, Stafoo is going to have to take 2 slimes on the way out here by the experience he got, and there are his 2 slimes, so he's actually set up now for his froggy walk. But of course, it cost him a little bit more time than Rory, who could just go past all these slimes, and he's already on his froggy walk now.
He is indeed, and quite you know, as we mentioned, not a significant lead in the grand scale of things, but certainly is in this early portion, especially since Rory seemed to be probably the less confident one coming into this matchup, as is to be expected when you're, you know, down the lower of the 2 seeds.
Yeah, it sure is, but I mean, this early game for both of them has been pretty impressive so far. Let's hope nothing happens before we can actually take some safety saves here. Rory manages to get through the Death Gauntlet, so he should be safe. And Stafoo is coming up to Death Gauntlet now.
See how his attempt goes. Rory having no issues. Stafoo getting a nice lucky energy drop, so he's not going to have to worry about Death Gauntlet very much at all. Certainly mitigates the time loss if he were to make a mistake. Ooh, like that one, but not going to be a deathly mistake. Instead, he'll just have to take the slow route of climbing up the bramble wall and picking up his energy. On the right, Rory did not get a good attempt at the early grotto cycle. He said that he was expecting to miss it, but I don't think he was expecting to miss it in quite that way.
Yeah, that was not great. I mean, if Stafoo manages to get this cycle here, it's a pretty hard trick. But if he manages to get the cycle, pretty close. That was very close. Although on the other hand, potential 1 frame there if he had gotten that.
True, there is always that 1 frame situation where you can die and be sent back not incredibly far, but certainly a lot further than 8 seconds. And luckily, neither runner having that occur to them today. Rory has now picked up double jump, and Stafoo will be heading there very quickly. Looks like the lead has remained about the same from Black Group Burrows. Rory may be gaining even a little bit more due to the failed death glide from Stafoo.
Yeah, he's also had a pretty nice blind movement, so he's not giving Stafoo really a good window to catch up here. And I mean, neither of them have been practicing this category too much, but their early game is pretty impressive so far.
Certainly is. Some very nice wall jumping from Rory as well, doing neutral hops at the tops of walls in order to mitigate how far up and past the wall you jump. He's not quite able to get this grotto skip on the first few tries, though. Looks like 4 is the magic number, and unfortunately, that's going to give Stafoo a big window right now.
Yeah, he's coming up on his grotto skip now. See how he does. Gets it first try.
Continuing that 100% streak that Stafoo has built throughout the tournament. Great job by him. Both runners also skipping the experience container. I'm curious, you know, if that factors in at all for them, if they decide to pick something else up, but likely it's not an issue. Our experience is routed to be pretty heavily padded during the early game, or during the mid game rather.
Yeah, I think if you're not doing the early charge stage route, you don't really need that 15 XP there because you will be fine anyway.
All right, Rory still with the lead, but certainly closing. And man, what a segment that could potentially see catch up if Stafoo just has, you know, a little bit cleaner wall jumps and the like. Luckily, Rory's are still looking good. Grotto skip was really the one exception. Everything else is still looking very solid for him. Not looking like he's giving a lot of opportunities for Stafoo based on just general movement in the game.
Yeah, doesn't get past this slime here. Well, he gets past, but he doesn't get to dash just through it like Stafoo just did there.
Yeah,
that's something that can happen occasionally.
That's a very difficult trick, especially. I mean, it almost feels random to a lot of runners. We all know it's not, but it's very difficult. Stafoo took a little damage after leveling up there. I don't think that should matter. I believe it was only 1, but if it was 2 damage, then he could potentially be in death range if he gets hit by one of these upcoming spinning arms of spiky death that Rory's traversing through now.
Yeah, opting to dash through them either way, so he's probably pretty confident with this early game of his.
Yeah,
most
not
of the
going.
experienced runners are not.
He didn't go for a damage boost early cycle, which, I mean, he might not have gone for either way, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was a little concerned about his health. And so now he might potentially be on only 2 health, but luckily Ginso has a lot of things that do 1 damage and not a lot that do, 2 or 3 in the early portions of it, so it shouldn't be too big a deal.
Yeah, and it's pretty close race now. qqstafoo actually managed to catch up pretty well there. They are only about 3 seconds delta right now. And oh, this little wall jump mess up there, so it's pretty much tied now.
That's all it takes in the early game, man, when you're not, when it's all down to just minor movement and not big tricks in this kind of section of the game. It's really easy for lead changes to happen from those minor things, that just like Rory getting an earlier gamer cycle and able to catch back up and push his lead to that couple second margin again.
Yeah, our stats certainly have to be on their A game right now for the lead change here.
And here we go. Already Rory having to do an extra double jump means that qqstafoo is right behind him once again. qqstafoo with an extra safety save. Shouldn't really matter too much. You do get an automatic save once you head into the mini boss, so a safety save is more just for fun, I suppose.
Oh, I don't know what his health was. Probably to get his health up a little bit there. I don't know. To set up for the damage boost later, the ghost door.
It's true, it is possible. Both runners going into the mini boss now, and again, qqstafoo has that scroll wheel shooting. Rory does not. However, if Rory just gets luckier with his spawns or has a better job of keeping track of them, he could still potentially edge this one out. They're still looking pretty tied throughout this whole fight. Okay, qqstafoo now taking a minor lead. And looks like he will be the first to finish the boss. Rory not quite able to finish on that last cycle, gonna have to wait one more. Of course, the guy was 1 HP away. Always seems like it is.
Yeah, that Ginso mini boss can mess up your good pace pretty well. Did Rory take a long time on the teleporters there? I didn't notice. It looked pretty long for me.
No, I don't think it was too bad. Maybe a little long, but qqstafoo now getting his ghost star, having to get hit twice, so Rory's probably only going to have to get hit once here. Ooh, but in a little bit of trouble with the jump pad. And yeah, only once, so saving just a minor amount of time there. And getting the hyperspeed, actually, that does catch him up quite a bit. Both runners are near their PBs at the moment. Rory, I believe, is actually still ahead of his PB, if not, right on pace with it, basically. qqstafoo a little bit behind his PB at this moment, but I believe it is still in the cards for each of them if they keep up the kinds of paces that they're playing at.
Yeah, and while of course race PB would be pretty nice, what they are really looking to do here is win this race. So even if qqstafoo having the better PB is probably not on that great of a PB like Rory is, he's in the lead now. Not by too much, but he is in the lead. And so that's all he needs for this race, really.
He got a successful key duplication first try, and so did Rory. So no kinds of major time changes there. Both runners opted for slightly different routes through this section. Depending on where you prefer to take your damage boosts, you can lose or gain minor amounts of time, but it's really not something that matters too much. And Rory, I think, is going to get the hyperspeed here. Oh, no, not quite able to.
Yeah, he certainly set up for that. Sadly didn't get the hyperspeed, but qqstafoo didn't get it either, so no real time loss there for him. Would have been nice, of course, to get it to make up some time there.
Yeah, it would have been pretty funny if he made up 2 hyperspeed time saves in one Ginso, but unfortunately not able to. And now it looks like Rory is less than a teleport animation away, so that means about the 6 to 8 second range or so delta between these two. And swamp entry is something that I know Rory was worried about, very worried about. Not quite sure about qqstafoo, but we'll see if this kind of turns the tides at all.
Yeah, Rory was worried about swamp entry. In his practice runs he messed that up, so let's see how he does, I guess.
Rory's success rate in the tournament so far is actually better than qqstafoo's, so we'll see if that manages to maintain his, or rather catch him up. And qqstafoo with 1 failed attempt already and did not make a safety save, so he has to watch the blind movement again, or watch the cutscene rather, and do the blind movement. Rory now taking a little safer setup. he should get through on this attempt. Oh no, not quite able with that bash to get a third bash on it. He should this time though. Yeah, there it is. It looked like the animation from the cell just locked his inputs a little bit, maybe bashed himself too low. stavoo going with the same method and is able to almost get hit by the shot, but instead he did get in there. So stavoo gave up the lead there from Swamp Entry, even though Rory said he was the one who was super nervous going into it.
Yeah, Rory got a pretty nice Swamp Entry. I mean, it was almost first try. I guess first try in our hearts because he just missed that bash on the shot there. So yeah, and he also got his hyperspeed on this door again. So 2 out of 3 hyperspeeds.
Not a bad success rate at all. Rory also been showing some nice double dash backup strats so far. You know, just like in Swamp right there, he realized that he had a shot that was too low, so he just did a nice little double dash to back it up. So really, you know, the nerves aren't causing him to not be able to think or anything like that.
Whoa, that scared me, the stomp there at the spikes.
Oh, yeah, no, Rory just doing it the kind of more swag way, I guess, where you follow along the spikes. Generally pretty consistent, so not too much of an issue, but now he's got to deal with this frog one more time. It was fairly kind to him on the way in. We'll see if it's kind to him on the way out. Of course, stavoo hoping to get revenge on this frog. Ooh, Rory not making it to the cell, though. He's going to immediately reload and try again. stavoo already in the lead now, but has to still bash this frog around. But now he makes a mistake on it, too. He, instead of reloading, is going to opt for the backup with the spitters. And Rory taking a death.
Yeah, it's... Oh, no. Get the frog out there.
Oh, man. Double bashes galore. Both runners picking up the cell just moments apart from each other. Oh, Spark, what do you think about Kuro cutscene skip coming up? Are we seeing another lead change?
I think we probably aren't, because I'm pretty certain both of them are going to get the cutscene skip here.
Well, stavoo's first and does get it. I think it took him 2 shots though, so Rory did still catch up a little bit.
Yeah, he did. And also, wasn't he saying he was going to go for 6 health? I think he's feeling a lot more confident than when he started the race, Rory.
Or he might just go with the 6 health in Horror Fields later in the game.
So
he
just
may
for
do.
the swim.
Yeah, may just do Sorrow with 4 health. stavoo took a death though, already gave back the lead to Rory. Those instant kill spikes are really obnoxious sometimes. And now Rory's got the lead going into Charge Flame, and he said that he would be trying to watch his opponent if his internet allowed. So he may or may not be watching him at the moment. Like, he may have turned that off if he felt that the internet was an issue. But if he is watching, then he knows at Charge Flame he's got the lead. So now it's his to throw away at the moment if he were to mess up something like Fast Stompless. But he didn't even list that as one of the ones he was very worried about.
Yeah, these constant lead changes here sure are something.
It's exactly what I was hoping for from this race.
Pretty close so far. And since both of them are doing the same route, there's no real time save there. Like with early charge flash, you would probably see someone catch up there a little in this segment now, but both of them not doing it.
Instead, we'll have to keep our eyes laser focused on things like the missed stomp that Rory did on the stomp peg, just losing him about 1 second. These are the kinds of minor differences that are going to factor in to, to the lead change in this race. And Rory taking a hit from the spikes again, giving up another second or so, but stavoo messed up the positioning of his frog and then unfortunately has to take a slower climb, so not taking advantage there.
I like the safety save here from Rory because of the damage that he just took. He has to have been on 1 health there, so everything would have been insta-kill.
And what a great safety save, because that would have definitely killed him, the bird hitting him. Birds are jerks, and we all know it, so I love that safety save. And now stavoo with the cleaner tunnel there, or tunnel, whatever, the cleaner shaft. They're both on Fast Stompless at the same time. Rory didn't like his first shot, though, giving stavoo the lead. He does like the second one better, and stavoo, meanwhile, just went right off the first shot, and he does successfully get it, but Rory bashes right into the spikes. Unfortunately, he has to go back to these birds, and double bashes are not cooperating with him right now. This is unfortunate, to say the least.
Yeah, that shot was, I think that shot was too low for Rory, so he just, see, he just opted to kill himself.
Wow, this bird, man. Birds are such jerks.
Oh, no.
Rory now trying desperately to bash off, or to stomp off in midair, does a nice stomp bash to avoid taking any kind of damage too. He's still sitting on very low health though, and now I'm sure must be shaking a little bit after that whole fiasco that just happened with the birds. Meanwhile, stavoo, he can get a first attempt on the Sarabash here. He can hopefully maintain his lead and not give any huge opportunity for Rory. And he does, and Rory is successful on his fast stompless this time around.
Yes, stavoo had 100% consistency on Sarabash here, so he's keeping that up. And I mean, these good runners, they on these hard tricks, they have a pretty good consistency.
Oh man, stavoo narrowly dodging, face planting right into spikes on the left side of that rocket jump. Luckily, not an issue for him. He did get through to his ghost door, so no time loss now for the next kind of big segment for Rory to take advantage of. He does have, or he has not rather, missed Sarabash in this tournament either. Let's see if he can keep up that streak. Couple bashes, putting the bird in position, and beautifully done by Rory. No problems whatsoever. And also going, oh no! He went with a few too nice stomp cancels and plowed right through the bird. Unfortunately, has to take the slower climb up instead of using a rocket jump. He is also not going to rocket jump off of any of these frogs. Doesn't want to deal with a kind of improvised strat. Would rather just kind of go with what he's comfortable with. And unfortunately, at this point, it's looking like stavoo's going to have to make some major mistakes for Rory to get back into this one.
Yeah, so he... Oh no!
And unfortunately, Rory giving stavoo even more padding. I cannot imagine the amount of stress that he must be under at this moment, because as soon as you mess up something like fast stompless once, you still have to perform at such a high level going into the entire next series of tricks and segments that it's really difficult to recover.
Yeah, that death to the spikes was just really unfortunate. He was so close, and he needs to take this XP. Nice charge there at the double bash back up to get through Sarabash.
Wow, so Rory's still doing a great job of backing a lot of stuff up, but it's just unfortunate that minor little mistakes are occasionally costing him large amounts of time. Both runners high-fiving each other as they get both in and out of Sorrow. Of course, Rory's still 100% on that Sarabash, even with having to do it twice.
He's not taking a safety save here, so he knows that this area, he can do this area. And was just taking a very unfortunate death here. Rather goes for this ghost door here to get a little bit of a time back.
And that's also a mentality thing that I know Rory told us about. He said that if he feels he's behind at glide, or if he can see it, you know, if his internet's allowing him to watch his opponent, then he said that he will avoid doing safety saves to try to catch up as much time as possible. Of course, stavoo has been looking very clean ever since Valley.
I mean, the decision to not go for safety saves and basically make oh no, taking another little death here.
Yeah, unfortunately going to set him back to the charge jump tree, and then he's going back again. That is, of course, the danger of not taking any safety saves and trying to go as fast as you can to catch up. Looks like Rory's having some issues now with kind of, you know, resetting his mindset when it comes into a trick like that. It seems like the kinds of mistakes we've been seeing from Rory have been compounded by, you know, a second or third attempt not going perfectly either. One of those things very hard to adapt to in a no reset situation.
Yeah, I think there are some nerves in there. So I'm actually pretty impressed that he's still going for these super fast strats. Like, he's been dashing through this spiky area there.
Oh man, I gotta cut you off because stavoo narrowly avoided death in about 4 different ways within the fraction, or within 3 seconds or so. Not making a safety save despite being at 2 health, and now he's gonna fall back to the platform. Luckily, does manage to do it just fine. Has to avoid all these spikes because he is currently 1 shot away from death. And hopefully, he'll make a safety save at the bottom here to try to refill his health, because he will get 2 health now from any save.
Yeah, let's see if he does. He does. That's a pretty reasonable decision.
But he loses an energy in the process. And if he now takes a death, I believe he'll also lose an additional energy, although I might be mistaken on that. Still has a nice rocket jump up through the meatball shaft, and his energy is only on 1, so he has to make sure that he doesn't dump any, or he's going to have a rough time with this next mini-boss.
Yeah, gets a semi-quick kill.
It was a little interesting. It seemed like maybe he was just a little slow on the charge dash or something, but he does kill him, get that nice refill, and now Rory's trying to fly through Misty as fast as he can. He's finally gotten out of Sorrow, says, okay, now is my chance to just take advantage of whatever I can, and beautiful charge dashes coming out of Rory right now, both canceled and uncanceled. He's now sitting on 1 HP though, and he said, I'm not doing safety saves if I can't afford it, so really need to be careful about any kind of long deaths from Rory as he's sitting 1 shot away from death.
He actually dropped an energy there, so he cannot charge dash anymore.
He'll probably have to pick one up on his way back through this section too, costing him a little more time. Of course, right now it's not even so much about what Rory can do to catch up, it's all about stavoo and just not giving up that lead. He hasn't had any unintentional deaths ever since, I believe, oh wow, it's been a long time. I can't even think of his last unintentional death. I guess Swamp Entry. So stavoo playing really great right now.
Yeah, also gets his Yoga cycle here. So if Rory, basically the only chance for Rory to still win this race is if stavoo messes up something here.
And it's certainly not looking that way at the moment. stavoo, I think, even did his Yoka cycle setup so fast that he should be able to get the fast cycle on the way out if he's familiar with it. We'll see if he goes for that in a second. Rory, oh, right into spikes. Is going to be sent back to climb. Unfortunate for him. He did say that he was nervous coming into this one, and unfortunately it seems like he's been succumbing to those nerves.
Yes, stavoo did not go for the fast laser cycle here. But either way, he's exiting Grenade pretty fast.
And I'd be interested to know if stavoo decided to watch Rory during this race, because maybe he said, all right, I've got a little bit of a padding right now in the lead. I don't need to worry about getting a PB. I think it's kind of out of my hands at the moment. So why don't I just not worry about getting every optimal cycle? Because as you said, all that matters is winning the race. His final time, not indicative of anything in the bracket coming up. So really just has to worry about taking that victory home.
By the way, that stavoo has been playing, he's probably not watching Rory because he's just also not been playing it too safe, and he's been nailing his tricks so far. However, that being said,
just skip the sixth health cell spark.
Yeah, probably another thing showing us that he's probably not watching his opponent.
Yeah,
he could have taken that cell.
I can only imagine that he must not be watching if he decided not to grab that health cell. That, or maybe he is indeed just barely on PB pace or something. But what a decision. I mean, it's not necessarily going to give Rory, you know, a big opportunity at this point. He has lost a lot of time over the last few segments and is likely out of this one. But it's still an interesting decision from stavoo nonetheless.
Yeah, also he got his door warp, I don't know, it was second try. Alright, so he didn't have too great of a consistency at door warp, because of course we know you can't be consistent at door warp, right Hops?
Of course not, it's impossible.
But yeah, second try, like 50% consistent, I mean, that's gotta be something to be proud of. And he's in his final escape now. Yeah,
final escape. We'll see how he does. Remember, if he takes any damage whatsoever, he has to start it all over again, and there are no saves in this escape. It's all or nothing. He's currently sitting at 3 energy, now 2, so he's not going to get a lot of attempts at the final grenade jump if he dumps energy on it, but hopefully shouldn't be an issue. Here's the bigger question. Will he make it through this swim? So far, his fish look good. He's out of there, and is only 1 grenade jump away from taking the victory now.
Yeah, let's hope he doesn't soft lock here.
That
takes the double jump there. I think the double jump, some kind of voodoo magic thingy, and the double jump doesn't soft lock me nearly as much as if I were to dash in there.
Alright, stavoo lining up, and it looks like on his 3rd attempt he will be successful. No soft lock, GG to stavoo. He'll take the victory and move on to face Oshi in his next upper bracket match.
That's been a pretty clean race by stavoo. I mean, it's a low 32. Oh, Rory taking a death by the laser there.
Yeah, I think he was going for the faster cycle. Rory, even if he weren't watching his opponent, stavoo is now finished in the SRL chat window, so I would assume that Rory knows, and wow, still going for the faster cycle there. That time he was able to sneak in a rekindle though, so he didn't get sent all the way back to the tree. And now, unfortunately, it looks like some dashes are just kind of messing him up. Not sure exactly what's going on, but great job from qqstafoo. 32:07 is the final time from him, and what a great race from both these runners. For at least most of it, you know, obviously it kind of fell apart a little bit for Rory towards the end, but great job from qqstafoo. And I think Rory was just congratulating his opponent, and that's kind of where some of the mistakes were happening. But yeah, kind of where that pause was happening.
I mean, whoa! Oh no!
He had saved himself, but he didn't believe it, and so unfortunately got stuck in there. Looks like
this laser's just frying him up here.
Yeah, I don't know. He's having a lot of trouble with this laser. I'm not sure exactly what's quite going on. Okay, here we go. This time he's going to wait on it. Should be able to go and use the rocket jump. Still, unfortunately, not getting all the way up there. I think he might have forgotten that he has climb because just wall jumping on there. That might have been why he died before. And of course, at this point, Rory knows he's going to be into the losers bracket. So I'm sure it's really hard to finish out, you know, a run with that kind of mentality going in, especially knowing that you're going to be up against Wilson most likely pretty soon.
Yeah, Wilson is not an enemy you want to face, and I'm sure Rory hoped for a better race than what he got here, but I think it's safe to say that he still was giving a great performance. And I mean, his performance is not over yet. He still has some nice tricks like door warp and final grenade jump coming up.
Oh, really just wants to show that he can do this movement properly. He reloads, back to a save, but unfortunately, the way this game works with teleport checkpoints is that they don't actually affect your save file until you've died once. So Rory, I'm assuming, was expecting to go back to the teleporter, but unfortunately gets sent back to Blackroot Burrows. Unfortunate, to say the least, and now just trying to edge out that laser cycle just a little bit.
I have to say, that surprised me as well. I did not know of that mechanic. I expected him to have the save there at the teleporter.
Yeah, it's a very interesting decision, you know, from the developers. Basically, once you teleport somewhere, you get effectively a checkpoint rather than a save, rather than a real save. And once you've died once, that checkpoint becomes a legitimate save. It does overwrite your current save. However, until you've died, it still acts only as a checkpoint, and if you reload the game, you'll get sent back before it.
That's interesting. I really did not know that.
You learn something new every day, especially when we're watching so many races every week in this tournament. All right, Rory now going to be getting to the teleporter again, and hopefully this time we'll see no issues on his way to Mount Horror, rather.
Yeah, he's going to show us what he meant to do with his storm cancels back there.
Yeah, this is some of my favorite movement in the run, actually, from this teleporter all the way to Mount Horror. There's just a lot of fantastic stomp canceling, a bunch of really fast rocket jumps, and you can see Rory trying to show that off and grabbing the energy crystal with his charge dash. It's a nice optimization.
And taking the 6 health just as you predicted, Pops, or as he told us.
Right, yeah. At this point, it's kind of like there's no reason to really worry about 5 health. Unfortunately, the victory is out of reach, and so is PB, so might as well just finish out. And great job from Rory being a good sport. I know that he was potentially considering forfeiting if he didn't, you know, win this one. He knew he was pretty far behind, but we always like to see our runners finish out every run, and great, you know, commitment from Rory to keep doing that right now.
Yeah, it sure is. And now he's coming up on door warp. Predictions? First try, second try? First try
it is. I hate predicting because I'd rather just sit there and wait for the result.
You're always hoping for the best.
Of course.
I mean, I don't know what his nerves are now. He might be a little bit calmer now because he can't win this race, but first try door warp is always very impressive. I don't like door warp.
I don't like it either. Alright, Rory coming into the final escape. Wow, a lot of charge dashes in a row there. I love that beautiful movement. And now, just a few tricks separating him from the ending. It's to hopefully soon walk away from this run with Naru and just start focusing on his next match. He's sitting at half an energy at the moment though, so he only gets one attempt at grenade jump. Well, one attempt, if he fails in a way that costs energy, there is another way to fail it. But he only needs one spark.
Yeah, first try grenade jump. So apart from that major hiccup there at the grenade jump, this run overall wasn't too bad. Oh yeah, and of course previous solo pass.
Right. I mean, he had a great run, like a fantastic run going all the way up to Valley. Certainly one that anybody in his shoes would have been happy to take in a tournament race. And then unfortunately, it seemed like things started to fall apart from Fast Stompless onwards, which is always rough. It can happen to anybody. It's certainly happened multiple times in this tournament to a lot of our runners. And Rory, kudos on finishing it out. And he immediately deletes the save file.
Yeah, doesn't want to remember anything of that.
He didn't want to see it at all. 3801 from him is not something he's too happy about, but that's okay. Again, he'll be not completely out of the tournament. He has a tough fight in the losers bracket to make his way back out, but we have seen stranger things happen, of course, already so far in this division, let alone in the whole tournament.
Yeah, we sure did. And there's the bracket. So after this win, qqstafoo is going to face Oshimine next. There will be an interesting race. Maybe we're up from another upset, by Oshimine here. Who really knows? But either way, Rory's next opponent is going to be qqstafoo, or I don't know, how do you pronounce it? qqstafoo? Something like that?
Yeah, qqstafoo or qqstafoo. It's all either is good. All right, I am going to quickly grab qqstafoo and see if we can ask him a few questions. So we are now joined by qqstafoo. Ooh, the magic of the internet. I can do it instantly. qqstafoo, how are you feeling after that victory, man?
Pretty good. I think that was my best run of the tournament so far as time goes. So no major complaints. I'm really happy with my sort of second half of the run, especially because that's mainly what I've been practicing recently, and I think that showed.
Yeah, that was certainly when you kind of kicked the afterburners on right around Valley. Because before that, still having a pretty good run, but there were a lot of changes back and forth between you two with, just minor hiccups here and there from either runner. And then, of course, Valley onwards, I mean, you barely made any mistakes at all from that point.
Yeah, that's the save that I practice most, is that feather save. I just start from there and go to the end, because that's the part of the run that I love running, and that's the thing that makes Ori for me. So obviously, I think to be more consistent, I probably should practice early game more, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
Oh, I am right with you there. Spark, any burning questions for qqstafoo here?
Probably not considering the race, but we have been wondering, qqstafoo, did you watch Rory in this race?
No, what I usually do is just have the Discord live stream open so I can get the splits. So I knew he was, I think, up to feather sort of on a PB pace, more or less. So I knew he must have been right behind me. So I was sort of feeling the heat there, and then I stopped sort of hearing the calls, and I guess he had some difficulty in his, Fast Stompless, from what I understand.
Rory had a pretty rough race going from Fast Stompless onward.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to all of us. My shot, I thought, was going to miss as well, honestly. I shot it, and I was like, I guess I'll go for it, but I was not very confident in it, so I got kind of lucky there. But yeah, I think that happens to everyone, and good on him for finishing it out, because it's tough to make a big mistake like that and keep running and try to put on a good performance.
Yeah, it certainly is. And now I want to ask you, all right, you've won this one. Let's move forward. Let's look forward towards your round of 32 match against Oshi. How relieved are you that you're not going to be, up against Wilson now? Instead, you get to face Oshi and maybe get all the way to the upper finals.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't been paying attention to the bracket much until this morning when I looked at it, and I was like, hold up, this doesn't look like what I expected. So yeah, this is sort of a happy surprise, I guess, to not have to face the terror that is Wilson.
But of course, you got to face the toppler of kings, Oshi.
Yeah, so give me the rundown. I haven't watched the race yet. How did that go?
I believe Wilson had just, a little bit of a rough run, and Oshi played really close to his PB the whole run. right around
awesome.
15 seconds
So
or
he's
so.
running really well.
So yeah, I think, you know, based on
That'll
your
be tough.
performance today, if you manage to match that, then you'll be looking pretty good in that matchup. But even just about a minute off or so would really make things questionable.
Yeah, I'm excited. That should be really fun. And then, yeah, who knows what'll happen after that?
Well, great. I think that's going to do it for us. Now, stick around, everybody, because we've still got a lot of great Ori action for you on Speed Gaming. The next match coming up is Terra versus Brynhold. And of course, we already know that that one's going to end with a Brynhold victory. So we'll be having to look forward to Terra facing Grimelios in the lower bracket after that. But stick around. Thanks again for commentating with me, Spark. It's always a pleasure when we get to connect across continents here.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a pleasure commentating with you as well. So I have never found the right words for these, but yeah, I had fun. I mean, it was a pretty nice race.
Well, fantastic. We'll see you all in just a little bit.
Yeah.